The night it happened, nothing looked unusual. The lights were off. The house was quiet. And your mother was sitting alone in the dark. Not scrolling on her phone. Not watching television. Not sleeping. Just sitting there. Staring at something that wasn't even in front of her. And then a tear rolled down her face. Not the kind of tear people show others. Not the kind that asks for sympathy. This was the kind of tear that only appears when a person is carrying a burden too heavy to speak about. A burden she has been hiding. A burden connected to you. And what you're about to hear may completely change the way you look at your mother forever. Because sometimes mothers know things long before anyone else. Sometimes they feel danger before it arrives. Sometimes they carry secrets because they believe the truth would break the people they love. And tonight, we're going to talk about the secret tears of a mother. A secret that many children never discover until it's too late. Stay with me. Because by the end of this story, you may feel an overwhelming urge to call your mother immediately. Years ago, there was a young man named Daniel. He believed he knew everything about his family. His mother smiled every day. She cooked. She laughed. She asked him whether he had eaten. She reminded him to wear a jacket when it was cold. Nothing unusual. Nothing mysterious. At least that's what he thought. But one evening, he woke up in the middle of the night. A strange feeling pulled him from sleep. The house was silent. Yet something felt wrong. As he walked toward the kitchen, he heard a sound. A quiet sound. Almost impossible to notice. Someone was crying. Softly. Trying not to be heard. Daniel followed the sound. And then he saw her. His mother. Standing alone. Holding a photograph. Crying. Not just crying. Shaking. Like someone whose heart had been carrying pain for years. Daniel froze. Because he had never seen his mother cry before. Not once. The next morning, he pretended nothing happened. But the image stayed in his mind. Why was she crying? What was she hiding? What was in that photograph? Days passed. Then weeks. The mystery grew. Until one day, Daniel finally asked, "Mom, are you okay?" She smiled instantly. Too quickly. "I'm fine." But he knew she wasn't. A mother's smile can hide many things. And sometimes, it hides an entire storm. One evening, Daniel discovered something unexpected. Inside an old drawer. Hidden beneath stacks of papers. A collection of letters. Dozens of them. All written by his mother. None of them sent. The first letter began with a sentence that made his heart stop. "If anything happens to me before you learn the truth." Daniel couldn't breathe. What truth? He continued reading. And what he discovered shattered everything he believed. For years, his mother had been protecting him from a reality he never knew existed. A reality filled with sacrifice, pain, and impossible choices. The life Daniel enjoyed wasn't built on luck. It wasn't built on chance. It was built on silent suffering. His mother had given up dreams, opportunities, happiness, and sometimes even her own health, just so he could have a better future. Yet she never told him, never complained, never demanded gratitude. She simply carried the weight alone. And every time she cried in secret. She cried because she wondered whether one day he would understand. The shocking truth is this. Most mothers never tell their children the full story. Never. Children see the meals, but not the hunger. Children see the smiles, but not the tears. Children see the strength, but not the battles. There are mothers right now pretending everything is okay, while silently fighting fears nobody knows about. Fear of losing their child. Fear of failing their child. Fear that one day their child will drift so far away that they become strangers. And that fear is powerful. Stronger than many people realize. But the story doesn't end there. Because Daniel discovered something even more disturbing. One final letter. One letter his mother never intended him to find. The handwriting looked different. The paper was stained with tears. And the first line read, "I know something is coming." Daniel felt chills. What did she mean? He kept reading. The letter described a feeling she couldn't explain. A deep instinct. A warning. A mother's intuition. She believed her son was heading toward a dangerous path. Not because she had evidence. Not because someone told her. But because she felt it. And mothers often notice changes long before anyone else. The way you speak. The way you walk. The way you hide your emotions. The way your eyes lose their light. They notice everything. Even when they say nothing. Especially when they say nothing. Weeks later, Daniel faced a serious crisis. A decision that could have ruined his future. And suddenly he remembered the letter. He remembered her tears. He remembered the warning. And for the first time, he understood. His mother wasn't crying because she was weak. She was crying because she carried concerns nobody else could see. She saw storms forming while everyone else admired the sunshine. That's what mothers do. They worry. They protect. They watch. Even when nobody asks them to. Even when nobody thanks them. And sometimes, those secret tears are actually acts of love. Now here's the part that nobody wants to hear. There are people watching this right now whose mothers have cried in secret. And they never knew. Not once. Not because they didn't care. But because mothers become experts at hiding pain. They hide it behind jokes. Behind dinner. Behind ordinary conversations. Behind questions like, "Did you eat? How was your day? Are you sleeping enough?" Simple questions. Yet beneath them often exists something much deeper. Love. Fear. Concern. Hope. A mother can spend years carrying worries that never leave her heart. And sometimes the biggest secret isn't that she knows something. The biggest secret is how much she has endured without telling you. Imagine this. Your mother sitting alone. Late at night. Everyone asleep. The world silent. And she whispers a prayer. Not for herself. For you. She asks for your protection. Your success. Your happiness. Your future. Nobody sees it. Nobody applauds it. Nobody posts about it. Yet she continues. Night after night. Year after year. That kind of love is rare. And perhaps that's why the secret tears hurt so much. Because they reveal a truth many people overlook. The strongest person in the family is often carrying the heaviest burden. Quietly. Silently. Without recognition. So if your mother has been crying in secret, maybe it isn't because she knows a terrifying prophecy. Maybe it isn't because she's hiding a dramatic mystery. Maybe the truth is even more powerful. She knows how precious you are. She knows how fragile life can be. She knows how quickly time disappears. And she knows that one day, every conversation becomes a memory. Every hug becomes a memory. Every ordinary moment becomes priceless. That realization alone is enough to bring tears to anyone's eyes. Especially a mother. Because mothers understand something most people learn too late. Nothing in this world lasts forever. Not childhood. Not youth. Not opportunities. Not even time itself. And that's why she watches. That's why she worries. That's why she cries when nobody is looking. Not because she is weak. But because she loves with a depth words cannot fully describe. So tonight, before you move on to the next video, before life pulls your attention somewhere else, think about the person who may have been silently carrying worries for you. Think about the sacrifices you never saw. Think about the tears nobody told you about. Because somewhere in the world right now, a mother is sitting quietly, hoping her child will be okay, praying they will be safe, wondering whether they truly understand how deeply they are loved. And maybe, just maybe, the secret she knows is this. One day, you'll finally realize everything she did for you. And when that day comes, those hidden tears will suddenly make sense. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Because after Daniel discovered the letters, something happened that he could never explain. For days, he couldn't stop thinking about them. The words kept repeating inside his mind. Especially that one sentence. I know something is coming. At first, he tried to ignore it. He told himself it was nothing. Just a worried mother. Just another expression of love. But then strange things began happening. Small things. Tiny details. The kind most people overlook. His mother started watching him differently. Not suspiciously. Not fearfully. But carefully. As if she were trying to memorize every detail about him. The way he smiled. The way he laughed. The way he walked through the house. Sometimes he would catch her staring at him. And when he noticed, she would immediately look away. It happened again. And again. And again. Until one evening he finally asked, Mom, Why do you keep looking at me like that?" For a moment, she froze. A strange sadness appeared in her eyes. Then she smiled. But this time the smile looked different. It looked fragile. "I just want to remember these moments." Daniel laughed. "What do you mean remember?" "I'm right here." His mother nodded. But she didn't answer. And somehow that silence felt heavier than words. Days passed. The feeling grew stronger. Something wasn't right. Something was happening beneath the surface. Something his mother knew but refused to reveal. Then one night, everything changed. It was nearly midnight. Rain tapped softly against the windows. The house was dark. Daniel couldn't sleep. As he walked through the hallway, he noticed a faint light coming from his mother's room. The door was slightly open. He wasn't trying to spy. But something made him stop. Inside, his mother was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding another photograph. The same one she had cried over months earlier. And this time, he saw something he had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. Not worry. Not sadness. Fear. His heart began pounding. Because fear doesn't appear without a reason. The next morning, he decided he couldn't ignore it anymore. He needed answers. And answers arrived from the most unexpected place. His grandmother. An elderly woman who rarely spoke about the past. When Daniel casually mentioned his mother's behavior, his grandmother became silent. Too silent. Then she sighed. A deep sigh that seemed to carry decades of memories. And what she said next changed everything. "Your mother has always carried secrets." Daniel stared at her. "What secrets?" His grandmother looked away, as if deciding whether she should speak. Then finally she said, "The day you were born changed her forever." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" His grandmother's eyes filled with emotion. "Because there was a moment when she almost lost you." Daniel felt his stomach drop. He had never heard this before. Never. Nobody had ever mentioned it. Not once. His grandmother continued. "There were complications. Serious complications. The doctors weren't sure you would survive." Daniel couldn't believe what he was hearing. His entire life had been built on a story he never knew existed. And his mother had carried that memory alone. For years. Suddenly, everything started making sense. The tears. The fear. The constant worry. The prayers. The way she watched him. She wasn't just seeing her son. She was seeing the child she almost lost. Every single day. Imagine carrying that memory. Imagine remembering the moment your entire world almost disappeared. Then imagine spending years pretending you're fine. That's what his mother had done. But the revelations weren't finished. Not even close. Because his grandmother leaned forward and whispered something else. Something Daniel would never forget. "There is one thing your mother never recovered from." The room felt colder. "What?" His grandmother hesitated. Then finally answered. "Guilt." Daniel was confused. Guilt for what? The old woman looked directly into his eyes. Because she believes she failed you. Daniel couldn't understand. Failed him? How? His mother had done everything for him. Everything. But then his grandmother explained something heartbreaking. No matter how much a mother sacrifices, no matter how much she gives, many mothers still feel they didn't do enough. They remember every mistake. Every moment they couldn't protect their child. Every time they couldn't fix a problem. Every time they watched their child suffer. And those memories stay. Sometimes forever. The world sees a strong mother. But inside, she remembers every moment she wished she could have done more. Daniel sat there speechless. Because suddenly he realized something shocking. The tears weren't only about fear. They were also about love. A love so powerful that it constantly questioned itself. A love that never believed it had done enough. And perhaps that's one of the greatest secrets mothers carry. No matter how much they give, they still wonder whether it was enough. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. His mind replayed every memory he had with his mother. Every meal. Every conversation. Every ride to school. Every argument. Every sacrifice he never noticed. And for the first time, he began seeing them differently. Not as ordinary moments, but as evidence. Evidence of a love that had quietly shaped his entire life. Then something unexpected happened. The following afternoon, his mother called him into the living room. Her voice sounded nervous. Almost trembling. Daniel immediately knew. This was it. The conversation. The truth. The secret. His heart raced as he sat down. His mother looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached for an old wooden box. A box Daniel had never seen before. Slowly, she opened it. Inside were dozens of memories. Photographs. Letters. Drawings. Hospital bracelets. School certificates. Tiny objects most people would throw away. Yet his mother had kept every single one. For years. Carefully. Patiently. Lovingly. Then she handed him a folded piece of paper. The edges were worn. The ink was faded. It looked ancient. "What is this?" Daniel asked. His mother took a deep breath. And for the first time in years, a tear rolled openly down her face. No hiding. No pretending. No forced smile. Just truth. Raw truth. And when Daniel unfolded the paper, his entire body went numb. Because at the top of the page were words written in his mother's handwriting. Words she had written many years ago. Words that revealed the secret she had been carrying all this time. A secret connected to every tear. Every prayer. Every sleepless night. Every silent fear. And as Daniel began reading, he realized the biggest revelation wasn't about what his mother knew. It was about what she had never told him. And what he discovered on that page would forever change the relationship between a mother and her child. Because some truths don't just break your heart. They awaken it. And what Daniel was about to read was one of those truths. Daniel's hands trembled as he unfolded the paper. The room was silent. No television. No phone notifications. No distractions. Just a mother and her son, separated by a secret that had waited years to be spoken. The paper felt fragile, as though it had survived countless nights hidden away from the world. Slowly, Daniel began reading. The first sentence immediately stole the air from his lungs. If you are reading this, then I finally found the courage to tell you what I could never say out loud. Daniel looked up. His mother was staring at the floor, unable to meet his eyes. For years she had carried this alone. And now the walls were finally falling. He continued reading. When you were little, everyone thought I was protecting you from the world. But the truth is, you were protecting me. Daniel frowned. Protecting her? How? He kept reading. There were days I wanted to give up. Days when I felt completely broken. Days when I cried so hard that I could barely breathe. But then I would hear your voice. I would see your smile. And somehow I found the strength to keep going. A lump formed in Daniel's throat. Because this wasn't a dramatic secret. It was something deeper. Something heavier. His mother had been fighting battles he never knew existed. Battles hidden behind ordinary days. The letter continued. You think I raised you. But in many ways, you saved me. Daniel's eyes blurred. Every word felt like a piece of his heart being pulled apart. All his life, he had viewed his mother as the strong one. The unshakable one. The person who always had answers. Yet this letter revealed a completely different truth. Even the strongest people sometimes survive because of the people they love. Especially mothers. For several minutes, nobody spoke. The only sound was the ticking of an old clock on the wall. Then Daniel reached the middle of the letter. And suddenly everything changed. Because the handwriting became uneven. The ink was smeared. As if tears had fallen onto the page while it was being written. And then he read the sentence that explained every secret tear. Every sleepless night. Every worried glance. Every silent prayer. The sentence read. The reason I cry when nobody is looking is because I am afraid time is moving too fast. Daniel froze. His mother slowly wiped her eyes. And for the first time, she spoke. Not as a parent. Not as someone trying to stay strong. Just as a human being. I was afraid, she whispered. Daniel listened. His mother took a shaky breath. When you were little, I couldn't wait to see you grow. A tear slipped down her cheek. But then you started growing. Her voice cracked. And I realized something terrifying. Daniel couldn't move. The room felt frozen in time. His mother continued. Every birthday meant one less year with the little boy I knew. The words hit him harder than anything else. Because suddenly he understood. The tears weren't about tragedy. They weren't about some hidden disaster. They weren't about a shocking conspiracy. They were about something every human being experiences. Time. The one thing nobody can stop. The one thing nobody can buy. The one thing nobody can recover once it's gone. His mother looked directly into his eyes. And there was a sadness there unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. Not hopelessness. Not despair. Just the sadness of someone watching precious moments disappear. I remember your first steps. A smile appeared through her tears. I remember your first day of school. Another tear followed. I remember carrying you when you fell asleep. Daniel's chest tightened. Because he remembered none of it. For him, those moments were gone. But for her? They were alive. Stored inside her heart. Every detail. Every memory. Every second. And perhaps that's one of the greatest mysteries of motherhood. Children move forward. Mothers carry the past with them forever. Then his mother revealed the truth she had hidden for years. The truth behind the photograph. The truth behind the tears. The truth behind everything. The photograph wasn't connected to a tragedy. It wasn't evidence of a secret. It wasn't proof of danger. It was simply an old picture of Daniel as a child. A picture taken on an ordinary afternoon. A moment nobody else would consider important. Yet to her, it was priceless. Because that moment would never happen again. That version of her son no longer existed. Time had taken him forward. And left only memories behind. Daniel stared at the photograph. For years he had imagined something dramatic. Something shocking. Something impossible. Yet the reality was far more powerful. His mother cried because she missed moments that could never return. Moments she treasured more than anything. And suddenly he remembered something. 100 things, actually. The time she asked him to sit with her. The time she wanted to talk. The time she called just to hear his voice. The times he said he was busy. The times he promised, later. The times he assumed there would always be more time. The realization struck him like lightning. One day. There won't be more time. One day the calls stop. One day the conversations end. One day the opportunities disappear. And the people we love become memories. That realization changed Daniel forever. But there was still one final page in the letter. One last message. One last secret. One last truth. With trembling hands, he turned the page. And there it was. A short paragraph. Only a few lines. Yet those lines would stay with him for the rest of his life. If I have been crying in secret, please don't be sad for me. My tears are not proof of pain. They are proof of love. They are proof that every moment with you mattered more than you will ever know. Daniel could no longer hold back his emotions. Neither could his mother. For the first time in years, they cried together. Not because something terrible had happened. But because something beautiful had finally been understood. The truth. The simple truth that hides inside countless homes around the world. Sometimes your mother is not crying because she knows something terrible. Sometimes she is crying because she knows something precious. She knows how quickly childhood disappears. She knows how quickly families change. She knows how quickly years become memories. And she knows something most people forget. Life is not measured by money, or success, or status. It is measured by moments. Shared moments. Loved moments. Remembered moments. The kind of moments that become photographs. The kind of moments that become stories. The kind of moments that one day bring tears to someone's eyes. And maybe that's the secret your mother has been carrying. Maybe she understands the value of today better than anyone else. Maybe she knows that the ordinary afternoon you barely notice will someday become a treasured memory. Maybe she knows that one day she would give anything just to hear your voice one more time. One more laugh. One more conversation. One more ordinary moment. Because mothers see something children often don't. They see time passing. They see seasons changing. They see life moving faster than anyone realizes. And that is why they sometimes cry in secret. Not because they are weak. Not because they are broken. But because their love is deeper than words. Deeper than explanations. Deeper than anything the world can measure. So tonight, before you close this video, before you move on with your day, think about the person who loved you before you could speak. The person who worried about you before you understood danger. The person who celebrated your victories as if they were her own. The person who carried fears she never shared. The person who cried tears you never saw. Because somewhere, right now, a mother is looking at an old photograph. Smiling. Crying. Remembering. And silently thanking God for every moment she was given. Even the ordinary ones. Especially the ordinary ones. Because in the end, those ordinary moments become the most extraordinary memories of all.